Have you ever thought about ancient text having secrets hidden in plain sight? I'm not talking about mystical symbols, but something right there in the words themselves, just waiting for someone to count them. Today, we're diving into a really fascinating theory that suggests one of the most famous books in the world might just have a hidden numerical code. Okay, so our whole journey starts with this one very famous biblical line about forgiveness. For centuries, right, it's been seen as this powerful metaphor for having, limitless compassion. But what if it's more than just a metaphor? And that's the big question we're digging into. Is this just a beautiful, poetic phrase? Or is it, as this one theory claims, a literal numerical key? A clue to a deliberate mathematical structure woven right into the fabric of the text itself. So let's jump into the first part of this idea. It basically proposes that this number, the one tied to forgiveness, is the foundation for an absolutely incredible pattern. It all hinges on this one simple calculation. 70 times 7 is 490. And the people who believe this theory argue that this isn't just a random number. They say it's a deliberate signature, a structural blueprint that shows up in ways you would probably never expect. So how does this actually play out in the text? Well, the very first claim centers on one of the most important names in the entire New Testament, Jesus. The method here is super specific. You take the 27 books of the New Testament and you split them into two groups. One for the odd-numbered books, Matthew, the first book, and so on, and another for the even-numbered books, like Mark, the second. According to the theory, this simple split reveals something pretty startling. So here it is, the first big discovery, according to the source. If you count up every single mention of the name Jesus in just the odd-numbered books, the grand total is said to be exactly 490. And there's that key number again, 70 times 7. But this is where the theory gets really compelling. If you do the exact same count for all the even-numbered books, the result is said to be identical, 490. It's a perfect, symmetrical pattern, supposedly stemming from that one single instruction on forgiveness. Kind of wild, right? Okay, let's keep going because the theory doesn't just stop there. It actually expands this whole numerical structure to two other really key terms, Father and Son. Now, the pattern gets a little more intricate. It's not just about 490 anymore. The theory claims that the foundational number 7 itself, as in 7 times 7 or 7 times 7 times 7, is the organizing principle for the combined mentions of Father and Son across different sections of the text. So let's just look at the numbers. In the four Gospels, that's Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, the combined mentions of Father and Son supposedly add up to exactly 343. And that number is 7 cubed, or 7 times 7 times 7. And the pattern is said to just keep on going. In the next big chunk of the New Testament, the first 7 epistles, which are these really foundational letters, the combined count is claimed to be precisely 49, or 7 times 7. Then, if we look at the last 14 epistles, the theory points to a different multiple. Here, the total mentions of Father and Son are said to be 77. The number 7 is still the core building block. And to cap off the entire sequence, in the very final book of the New Testament, Revelation, the combined count is exactly 7. This slide kind of gives you a peek behind the curtain at how these totals are reached, at least according to the source data. You can see the individual counts for Father and Son in some of these books, like John with its 157 mentions, or Revelation, where the 4 mentions of Father and 3 of Son add up to that perfect 7. But hold on, there is a really crucial piece of context here. This entire numerical system, according to the people who propose it, only works in one very specific version of the Bible. And that version is the King James Version, the KJV. The theory's claim is that these unbelievably precise numerical patterns are totally unique to this one translation. The idea is, if you change a single V to a U or use a different word, the entire intricate structure just falls apart. So this slide really puts the whole alleged system on display. When you zoom out, you can see how all these pieces are meant to connect. From 343 mentions in the Gospels to 49 to 77 and finally to 7 in Revelation, they all add up to a grand total of 490 mentions of Father and Son across the entire New Testament, which brings us right back where we started to 70 times 7. So after seeing this really intricate web of numbers, all of it apparently stemming from that one single verse in Matthew, what are we supposed to make of it all?
So, we've traced this thread all the way from a single verse about forgiveness to what looks like an elaborate numerical tapestry. We saw a perfect 490-490 split for the name Jesus, and this multi-layered structure for Father and Son that seems to be completely built on the number 7.
And this leaves us at a pretty fascinating crossroads. I mean, do these numbers point to some kind of hidden language, a divine fingerprint encoded into the text? Are they a series of just wildly improbable coincidences? Or, and this is what a skeptic might say, are they a perfect example of what's called the Texas sharpshooter fallacy? That's our very human tendency to find patterns in random noise and decide they mean something. The theory presents its evidence, but whether you see divine design or human psychology, well, that conclusion is up to you.